Welcome to the Three Martini Lunch. Grab a stool next to Greg Columbus of Radio America and Jim Garrity of National Review. Three Martinis coming up.
So glad you're with us for the Tuesday edition of the Three Martini Lunch. We have two good martinis today, as well as one crazy, a familiar face. Andrew Cuomo will be in the crazy one. But Jim, let's head back to the California recall. We had pretty much buried this idea as being something that could actually happen. The polls were looking better and better for Gavin Newsom. His approval numbers were in the high 50s for some inexplicable reason. His handling of the pandemic was approaching 2/3 in California. And then all of a sudden, things changed. Maybe. The LA Times commissioning a poll with the University of California, Berkeley, showing that among Californians most likely to vote, and that the phrasing is important, it's within the margin of error now. Retain Newsom is still ahead, but just barely 50% to 47%. The sobering news here is that when you just look at registered voters in California, it's 51-36 to retain. The problem here for Newsom is motivation, because according to the same survey, 90% of Republicans expressed a high level of interest in the recall election, while just 58% of Democrats and 53% of independent voters were as interested, Jim. So, I mean, it still needs to be pretty much a perfect showing here on recall day next month. And if I had to bet, probably still bet that Newsom survives. But this just got a lot closer than a lot of people would have expected.
Indeed, Greg. I kind of had in my mind said, okay, it looks like the recall is not really going anywhere. A lot of people were angry about it at the height of pandemic restrictions, but as California started opening up, people started thinking about other things, and they're just not as motivated about this. Maybe that's not the case. And one of the things that kind of jumped out at me, I realized, is that this is, this recall election is supposed to be held September 14th. So one, it's not that far away. And the second thing that's kind of strange is that it's not first Tuesday in November. It is not the regular election day. And you kind of say, okay, well, maybe people just aren't going to be all that motivated, or that this is not going to be a high turnout situation. It's not the sort of thing where people will turn out to vote out of habit. And you're starting to see a lot of comments from Democratic political consultants in California that sound pretty nervous, observing that they always felt pretty good about Newsom, but this was the set of circumstances. A very low turnout election where people just aren't that fired up about it is the kind of circumstance where, okay, there might be enough passion on the side of the Newsom opponents to get them to put them over the top. And the second thing I'm kind of realizing is that, look, we just had the news right before we started taping. The CDC wants people who are fully vaccinated to start wearing masks again because of the Delta variant. This is going to reopen a whole bunch of these issues of when are masks required, who has to wear them, do you have proof of vaccination? The state of California is also requiring all state employees to demonstrate proof of vaccination, or I believe they have to get a test demonstrating that they're negative once a week. This is going to bring back all the pandemic stuff that was in the rearview mirror. And if Newsom was seen as the face of the nanny state, the guy going to the French Laundry restaurant who believed the rules didn't apply to him, the guy who was putting all kinds of impositions and restrictions on the daily life of Californians, this might be turning at just the wrong point for him. That he might feel really good by November, or actually maybe things will be worse by November if the winter weather, we don't know. But the idea is that, this is, if you're Newsom, you want as much of the pandemic in the rearview mirror as possible. And to have this whole burgeoning interest in a recall say, look, people were mad about the pandemic. It's not my fault. This thing is all in our rearview mirror. This thing is, in the past. Now it may not be the case. And who knows? Maybe that at that point, there's a possibility that the really kind of curious about thing is that there are 46 candidates on the ballot, 21 Republicans, but conservative talk show host Larry Elder is right now the currently most popular challenger among likely voters with 18% compared to the rest of the field. Governor Larry Elder. That would make this one of the wildest, almost as wild as Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I was going to say, it'd be hard to top 2003, but we might just get there. And of course, you think, look at that enthusiasm gap, 90% for Republicans, 58% for Democrats. Well, the party affiliation in California is pretty lopsided, so I'm not actually sure which one still has more people who are motivated. But the thing that is interesting about these California recalls that I remember from last time is it's a two-track race. Do you recall the current governor? And if he's retained, then the other contest doesn't count. But if they do recall him, then whoever gets the most votes, doesn't have to be a majority from that long list of candidates, becomes the new governor. And right now, there's no prominent Democrat that's in this race. Larry Elder's at about, I think, 18%. Former mayor of San Diego's in there. I think he's around 10%. Bruce/Caitlyn Jenner's down around 3%, not getting much traction. So I think until a major Democrat gets in the race, that's our sign that Newsom's not truly worried about this, right?
Yeah, although, it's one of those things where he's an asterisk to the story of Arnold Schwarzenegger and his rise. But am I remembering correctly, Greg? Cruz Bustamante.
Cruz Bustamante,
was the
yes.
De facto Democratic choice in the runoff.
That's right. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
Norris.
Bustamante, always an exciting, a fun name to say. So right. We'll see. I don't know what he's doing these days, but he might just want to check in.
He was the backup plan, but the backup plan did not work. Schwarzenegger gets elected. So we will see. And it's interesting in some of these polls, even if you think Newsom ought to stay, a lot of those same people who think he should stay don't want him to win again in 2022. So we might get to the point just a year out, basically, from when he would be up for re-election of people going, you know what? Let's just get somebody else. And maybe that's the way we get rid of him a little bit sooner than we otherwise might have. But anyway, we know that with numbers like these, Jim, the Republicans and the Democrats are not going to be mailing it in for this recall election. And if you do need to mail something in, you don't need to go to the post office. Look, at least until some of these new CDC guidelines, the summer was showing welcoming signs of a more normal life ahead. Finally, you can get back to enjoying life's little pleasures, whether it's actually spending time with other people. That's kind of nice. But one of the things you still don't need to do, go to the post office, because you can mail and ship anytime, anywhere, right from your computer and pay a lot less, whether it's with the U.S. Postal Service or UPS, and you can do it at Stamps.com.
Stamps.com brings the same U.S. Postal and UPS shipping services right to your computer. They make it easy for small businesses to mail and ship without needing to take a trip to the post office. You can print official U.S. postage and shipping labels 24/7 without having to leave your desk or buy any fancy equipment. All you need is your computer and a standard printer. Once your mail is ready, you just schedule a pickup or you drop it off. It's just that simple.
And they offer deals that you simply can't get anywhere. Listen to this. 40% off United States Postal Service prices and up to 66% off UPS shipping rates. And with their Switch and Save feature, you can quickly compare carriers to find the best rates every time. They make it super simple. So stop wasting time going to the post office. Go to Stamps.com instead. And there's no risk and no commitment. With our promo code 3Martini, all one word, you can get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale without any long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in, all one word, all spelled out, 3Martini. That's Stamps.com, promo code 3Martini. Stamps.com. Never go to the post office again. All right, Jim, our second good martini is another head scratcher. Joe Biden has tried this. Nancy Pelosi has tried this. And now Joe Manchin is trying this. I don't know why they think this is somehow going to browbeat Republicans into doing what they want on the infrastructure bill. But Joe Manchin is now the latest saying that you've got to pass the bipartisan infrastructure bill or you're not going to get the $3.5 trillion other spending bill where the Democrats get everything else they've ever wanted to spend money on. It's a 2-track system. You got to get one on a bipartisan level, and you got to get the other one through reconciliation. And if that can't happen, you know what? We're not going to spend these trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars on either bill. So there, stick it in your pipe and smoke that, Republicans. Jim, I don't understand why they think that puts any pressure on Republicans whatsoever.
Greg, first of all, I'm just picturing Mitch McConnell saying, your terms are acceptable. All right, you want to tank both deals? Let's tank both deals. I'm fine with that. The other thing is, and I suppose this is now an extraordinarily politically incorrect reference, but Greg, I'm just reminded of Blazing Saddles, where Cleveland Little plays the sheriff takes himself hostage and forces everyone else to put down their guns by putting the gun to his own head. That's kind of what Democrats are doing here, and you're kind of left with the situation of like, go ahead. You've vastly overestimated how much Republicans want to pass this. Yeah, there's a kind of a there are certain infrastructure projects Republicans would like to pass. And the other great irony is that if this goes down in flames, you're going to see, let's say, it's not like it'll never ever, go back to the issue of infrastructure again. My guess is if talks fall apart, Democrats will try to pass it all by themselves. They might not get there, depending upon Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema, and also whether you can get 218 House Democrats, because what the House progressives want is pretty different from what the more centrist House Democrats want. But maybe they get all done, and then they're fine. They're resolved the issue of infrastructure, and Democrats will get a partisan win. More likely, though, they're going to get a situation where they have that goes back to square one, nothing gets passed, and then the Republicans can actually go back to getting a bipartisan deal and not having to go along with a Republican, this second massive spending deal that basically is full of Democratic work.
Wow, we are full of political incorrectness today. You mentioned Blazing Saddles. I see this and I think of Brer Rabbit in Don't Throw Me in That Briar Patch, because this is exactly what the Republicans would love to have here. Say, yeah, go ahead and deploy that nuclear option. Oh, wait, we can't spend $5-6 trillion at all? Okay, anyway, on to the next thing. But we'll see what the Democrats end up doing here, and whether they have the option of playing out the clock till the next fiscal year and give themselves a little more flexibility. I'm not an expert on that, but we'll see what options they have in front of them. Anyway, while we're waiting for some sort of resolution on these massive spending bills, we can at least be comfortable, and that includes not only great pillows and great sheets, but also fantastic towels, and that's where My Pillow comes in. Love these towels. I talk about them all the time, obviously. They're big, they're soft, they're fluffy, and it's amazing how fast you get dry with these things. I mean, I know that's what towels do, but the My Pillow towels seem to do that even better than the others. So wrap yourself in nothing but the best with the My Pillow towel set, and right now you can get it at a huge discount.
Each set is 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, and a washcloth 2-pack. The towels are made from proprietary technology that makes them highly absorbent, and they're soft to the touch without that lotiony feel. They're made with cotton grown right here in the United States. They're available in a variety of colors and sizes. They're machine washable, and they come with a 60-day money-back guarantee, as well as a 1-year limited warranty.
So visit MyPillow.com and use the promo code Martini at checkout to take advantage of this great deal, or use that code when you call 800-874-0104. The My Pillow 6-piece towel set for only $39.99. And while you're there, take advantage of the deep discounts on all My Pillow products, including the Giza Dream bed sheets and the My Pillow premium pillows. MyPillow.com or call 800-874-0104. All right, Jim, on to the Crazy Martini. And as promised, Andrew Cuomo. I'm not sure that was the greatest idea to tell you that we're going to be talking about him. Hopefully you stuck around for it anyway. But Andrew Cuomo's brazen arrogance. We always think we've seen the limits of this, Jim, but apparently we haven't, because Cuomo is now declaring himself to be the person who truly gave us the facts and the honest truth throughout the COVID pandemic. And I think we're going to have a pretty extensive counter argument here, but here's what he said on Monday.
As I sit here, I have told you the facts on COVID from day one. Whether they were easy, whether they were hard, I told you the truth.
Really? Was there an order that everybody had to go back into nursing homes, even if they were COVID positive? How many people died in nursing home facilities? Jim, I almost expect Andrew Cuomo to go out there and say, I am currently urinating on your leg, but you ought to believe it is raining.
First of all, Greg, that's a surprisingly good Andrew Cuomo impression. Where's that been for the past 18 months? Because that's really good with that. The pitch, the voice of it goes up, and it's like a roller coaster. It goes back down. So I want to make the observation. Two useful observations. The first is, I suppose you could say, yeah, it was pretty honest of one of Cuomo's aides when she said to Democratic state legislators in New York, the reason they didn't disclose the information was because they were afraid the Department of Justice would investigate them. That's pretty honest, right? It's why they're withholding information, which is not honest, but that aspect, behind closed doors, Democratic lawmakers, and I say that tongue in cheek. I think the most interesting interpretation of this, though, comes from Ala Pundit over at Hot Air, who makes the observation that, the only way, this is so shamelessly, this is such a shameless lie. The Cuomo, must be now at the point where he's convinced himself that it's true. And this comes in the context of Cuomo's team starting to leak that Tish James, the state attorney general, wants to run for governor. And he had previously been insisting that this was the full investigation of his sexual harassment claims was going to fully exonerate him, and this was all nonsense. And, never mind the fact that at least one of the cases was on photo, and all of these women worked with him, and none of these women have much of an incentive to try to trash him. And also, apparently, they're claiming that former Manhattan U.S. Attorney Preet Bharara was thinking about running a primary challenge to him, too. So all of a sudden, the Cuomo team is going after anybody who could have any type of law enforcement role or oversight over him. Boy, that does kind of indicate that maybe there's some pressure over there, that maybe there's some nervousness that Tish James is going to come back and not say, oh, no, everything's fine. These are all a bunch of innocent misunderstandings. Andrew Cuomo's a swell guy. Maybe Tish James is going to look at this and say, yeah, every one of these women's claims is credible. Everything they said checks out. We have every reason to think that Andrew Cuomo is a notorious, repeated sexual harasser of women who work for him. And that'd be very bad for him. And that would not be the exoneration that he promised. And that, too, would not be very honest. But some of us are less than fully shocked at the prospect of Andrew Cuomo, being less than honest despite what he's insisting right now in his very sing-songy voice.
On the one level, you're like, oh, some Democrats might run against him. And then it's like Tish James, who wants to declare war on the Second Amendment, and Preet Bharara, who's pretty much turned into a liberal hack as well. Pro tip, at no charge to Bharara and James, to have a discussion. Pick one of you, because if it's all three of you, Cuomo's going to get the nomination, and he might get it again anyway. And honestly, I'm not even sure which would be the preferred winner of that primary, given how horrible all three of them are. So, Jim, I guess we have bookends here of deep blue states with terrible governors that voters and lawmakers have a chance to get rid of, but they might survive anyway.
Yeah, at this point, Greg, I'm just rooting for injuries.
It's a nice foreshadow.
Like that Tampa Bay Oakland Raiders Super Bowl. There's nobody to root for, so I just, do as much damage in the process. Somebody's got to win.
You can tell Jim's got training camp on his mind. Jim, great day as always. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, Greg.
Jim Garrity, National Review. I'm Greg Corombos of Radio America. Thanks so much for being with us today. Do subscribe to the 3 Martini Lunch podcast if you don't already, and please tell your friends about us as well. We're very grateful for your kind reviews and your 5-star ratings. They're very helpful to us, so please keep them coming. Also, remember to get us on those home devices. Just say play 3 Martini Lunch podcast. And don't forget we're on Twitter. Follow him at Jim Garrity. I'm at Dateline_DC. Have a great Tuesday, unless you live in California or New York, because your governor's not changing today, probably. And join us again on Wednesday for the next 3 Martini Lunch.
Hi, it's Dana Lash, host of The Dana Show. Every day, I'm here to keep you up to speed on the most important stories and info that you need to know in your very busy life. And if you're always on the go and you want to stay connected, just download our daily podcast and take it with you. It's a great way to get up to speed on what you need to know and what legacy media may not be telling you. Visit danaradio.com and click on the podcast link or subscribe at iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.